You're listening to Three Things to Know with Stephanie Haney, with experts and insiders on what you need to know in Northeast Ohio.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome back to Three Things to Know. I'm Stephanie Haney, and as always, I'm so excited to have you here with me this week. This is a very special week because we are in the middle of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics happening in 2021, but of course, that's because of the delay, and there is so much excitement around our Northeast Ohio athletes. We have about a dozen athletes in Tokyo, in case you didn't know, and it could be a little bit difficult to keep up with things because in Tokyo they are 13 hours ahead, so we are bringing you everything on 3 News that you need to know about the Olympics, including live streams of the actual events. So many events, so much competition to see. The opening ceremonies, of course, happened on Friday, so we've got 2 weeks of Olympic coverage to get to, and NBC is broadcasting the Olympics at 3 News. Of course, we are an NBC station, so we are bringing you all of that on WKYC.com. It is your absolute destination. And what is particularly exciting about this Olympics is there are so many new events. In June of 2016, the International Olympic Committee added sports that we knew we would see in these Tokyo Summer Olympics. They brought baseball and softball back, also karate, skateboarding, sport climbing, and surfing, and they added BMX freestyle. That happened a little bit later, but that is under the cycling section of the Olympics. New athletes, new competitors, almost 500 additional athletes, almost 20 new events with the addition of these things. I know everyone has their favorite. I do particularly love the floor gymnastics. I cannot wait to see what Simone Biles does in this Olympic Games. The woman is incredible. By the way, the first woman ever to have her own, the first female athlete to have her own hashtag. Fun fact, if you tweet hashtag Simone or hashtag Simone Biles during this Olympics, a little emoji of a goat wearing a leotard with a gold medal will pop up because she is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Just busting out incredible double pike vault flips in the practice for the Olympics. Just incredible. And, you know, here in Ohio, like I said, lots of competitors representing. Ohio State University has a total of 26 athletes in the Tokyo Olympics. Now, that's including incoming, current, and former Ohio State University students. Now, not all of them are competing for Team USA, but a lot of them are. And here in Northeast Ohio, we have a dozen athletes competing. Now, that includes 1 alternate, and we did have 13, but as you know, no Kevin Love on Team USA. That's okay. No love lost there for Kevin Love. We'll see what Team USA does with the men's basketball team. But we'll be talking about 6 of our Northeast Ohio athletes today. And to do that, I am so excited to tell you my guest today is our 3 News sports producer, Dave Dino DeNatale. Dino is just chef's kiss at everything that he does. And anytime I get to host something with Dino, I am just ecstatic and thrilled. So I will not make you wait any longer. Let's bring Dino in right now. Dino, thanks for joining me on the 3 Things to Know podcast.
I am so pleased to be. By the way, this is the award-winning 3 Things to Know podcast. Let's just make sure we call it what it is. It is a privilege to be with you here, Stephanie, and I'm excited. I mean, let the Olympics begin here, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun for folks at home to watch the Olympics over 16 days and track these young people as they go for gold in their sports.
Absolutely incredible. And Dino, thank you for being the hype man that you are, our number 1 hype man, and the perfect man to be talking to us about the incredible athletes that we have representing Northeast Ohio in the Olympics. We're going to get to about half of our Northeast Ohioans today. We've got a couple of returning veterans, but we're going to talk about 1 returning veteran this year. Who you got first for us?
I want to look at Carlin Isles first, because you and I, before we started the podcast, we were talking about rugby. I have to be honest with you. I don't know a whole lot about rugby. I'm going to learn as we go here. But Carlin's one of those guys that he was there in 2016 in Rio. So he's got that Olympic experience on his belt. Team USA, they really feel like in this span of time between 2016 and now 2021, they've gotten better as a team. Isles is arguably the best athlete in terms of rugby in the world. He's the fastest man, to be sure. And, he's a guy, he's got the Stark County roots. So I know that, even though he went to a rival high school for you, he football and track in high school, same in college. And one of those young men that kind of found his calling outside of what he did in high school and college and turned himself into a tremendous rugby player. And Team USA, as I said, they've gotten better over this 5-year span, and they really believe like a medal is possible in Tokyo.
So many incredible things to talk about there. First, very quickly, I do want to mention, yes, from my hometown. And if you're in Canton, you don't call it Maslin Perry, but it's called Maslin Perry. And he went to Maslin Jackson, and then of course there's the Maslin Washington Tigers. So all big rivalries there, but at the end of the day, it is still all Maslin. So very excited, especially to have a hometown guy representing. And what I think is super interesting, of course, this guy is considered to be one of the fastest in rugby. And this is kind of perfect because it's kind of like speed rugby, this rugby sevens game. I was looking into this, the difference between regular rugby, rugby union, and rugby sevens, which is what they're playing here in the Olympics. That's what Carlin is participating in. 2 7-minute halves, 2-minute break in between. Rugby is intense, and that is going to be quite the athletic feat. I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, it's his, you figure it's like rugby. We all, every now and then, I can remember either in college or even in high school, you might either play a pickup rugby game or you'd watch it. It has the endurance requirement of soccer. You watch a soccer match and you run up and down the pitch and you're just running all over the place. Well, you do that in rugby, but it has the physical component of our American football. So you bring those two forces together, and as you point out, you're doing so in a faster pace. It really changes the strategy. You've got to be able to get the ball down the field and score quickly because time is a factor. And I think that will lend itself well to athletes like Carlin, who is fast. You're going to need to be able to move down the field in a quick amount of time. You can't dawdle in speed rugby, apparently.
Yeah, and it's going to be actually the timing for these matches will actually be, I think, pretty nice for us here in the States. Of course, we're talking about this a little earlier. By the time this podcast gets to all of the wonderful people who are listening to it, we'll be just a couple of days into the Olympics. So some of these things, will be just on the cusp of happening, will be right about happening. So when do we get to see Carlin play?
Well, Carlin will be in action Monday the 26th, and Team USA is going to play twice that day. They're going to play Kenya, and we'll see that locally around 9 a.m. And then later, 4:30 p.m. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about in Tokyo time, 13 hours ahead of us. So, but they're going to play 2 matches on that Monday, and then 1 on Tuesday, and then all of a sudden on Wednesday the 28th, we're talking the medal round. So medal matches. So the match for the bronze medal and then the match for the gold. So that's going to happen very quickly, which, of course, as we said, lends itself well to talk about speed rugby. But that's going to be one of the first chances we will have to see a Northeast Ohio athlete medal in these Olympics. Will be early in the competition in the first week.
We'll be definitely excited to see that. Okay, let's talk about our second athlete we're going to talk about today. Let's take it to the waters for this one. Who you got for us next?
Hunter Armstrong from Dover, Ohio, down in Tuscarawas County. He will be competing in swimming. And again, that's one of the nice things about swimming. It's usually around that first week of competition. Usually you have swimming in that first week and then track and field in the second week. So we'll see Hunter early in the competition. Young man from Ohio State University. He's a sophomore. He'll compete in the 100-meter backstroke. And, this is for Ohio State. I think there are 26 athletes in all from Ohio State competing for various nations, most of them Team USA, but some for other countries. And Hunter's one of them. Ohio State, he's the first men's swimmer from the Buckeyes to make the Olympic team. I couldn't believe this when I saw this. In almost 70 years.
Wow.
65 years since 1956. Did really well, swam well at the Olympic trials, finished in second. So, he had said, look, I just wanted a place. I want to get top 6. Now all of a sudden, Hunter, raise your expectations because, he's got a shot at a medal now.
Yeah, the modesty, right? Talk about being humble. He's a young guy, 20 years old, going into those trials saying, he knows it's tough. He just wants to place, and then being right there with the best of the best. Just incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, a young man, 20 years old. So, I mean, this is going to be a big stage for him. But, I think if he has that attitude that he's had throughout the lead up here to Tokyo, he's going to have an opportunity, and he'll be another one that we are going to see very early in the competition. The heats will start Sunday at 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. And then if he advances, it'll be basically 12 hours later will be the semifinals, 9:30 p.m. to about midnight heading into Monday. And then the final would be Monday night. So this could happen here, again, very, very quickly for Hunter Armstrong.
Another fast and furious event that we'll definitely be watching. And also, I want to say here, and I'll have these linked in the show notes and on WKYC.com, but, Dino and our other digital producer, Tyler Carey, doing an excellent job doing these write-ups about our local athletes, the local Olympic spotlights. One thing I got to shout out about Hunter Armstrong, he's there. He has this incredible performance at the Olympic trials, and then 2-time gold medalist Caleb Dressel comes up to him, and he goes to shake his hand, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Hunter Armstrong." And Caleb says to him, "Oh, I know who you are." What a moment. He's like, oh my gosh, Caleb Dressel knows who I am. And if you're involved in the world of swimming at all, you know who Caleb Dressel is.
It's the little things. It lets you know that you've arrived. It just gives you a little bit of confidence. It's like, yeah, I know. Hey, listen, young man, we know who you are. You're making the impression, and he's on everybody's radar now. And I don't think he'll take anybody by surprise, if he indeed comes away with a medal come this first week of competition. Absolutely.
All right, let's bring it to very close to where we are here by our WKYC studios in sort of the heart of the greater Cleveland area. Who you got for us next, Dino?
My hometown, where I live, is where Adelaide Aquila lives. She's a Westlake. She was born in Rocky River, went to Magnificat, and now lives in Westlake. And like Hunter Armstrong, is an Ohio State Buckeyes. We mentioned there are 26 of them. And Adelaide will be competing in the shot put, which will be heading into the second week of competition. And, you look at it, she was a person that, good high school athlete, got to Ohio State, and just kind of went through the motions, Steph. And it was kind of like, okay, do I really want to do this sports thing going forward? And at some point, she kind of had a talk with her coach, and really that idea of dedication that I want to do it. I can be a very, very good track and field athlete. I can do it. The switch flipped on. And once she realized that she could do it, and got the dedication going, put the time in the workroom, still a terrific student, by the way, but put the time in the workroom, put the time in practice. She turned herself into the best shot putter in the NCAA, a couple of national championships, a couple of Big Ten championships, school records. I mean, her resume is just tremendous. And now, I mean, it's taken her to the Olympics. She threw very well in the Olympic trials, finished third. And now, here we go. She heads to the Olympics. Something that I think 3 years ago, might not have been on the radar, but it goes to show you, you kind of reach out and you find that what's in you, deep within you, and you bring it out, and you become now an Olympic athlete.
I love that story for so many reasons. First of all, it shows how important it is to necessarily have those people sometimes who really see that in you, even when you don't necessarily see it in yourself, or maybe when you don't even want to see it in yourself and you're just content and you need someone to sort of light that fire underneath you. I also love it because, like you said, great point there. 2 to 3 years ago, I don't think that she necessarily had the Olympics on her radar at all. It just goes to show what a difference 2 to 3 years can make in your life. It's incredible.
Yeah. She is a model. I just think of the diligence, that I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out what it takes to get myself to that high level. and I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to let my studies slack. I'm going to, be that well-rounded, great student athlete. And just to put it in perspective, I mean, Ohio State, all the great sporting teams they have, she was the co-athlete of the year. She shared it with Justin Fields, and we know how well Justin Fields did on the football field for the Buckeyes. Female athlete of the year at Ohio State. And it's going to be fun to watch her compete. I think she's somebody that, disappointed that her family can't be there, as of course with all the families there's not many spectators at any of the Olympic events. But she mentioned when our colleagues talked to her in advance of this, that she really wants to take in the culture, that she realized this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and she's excited to be in another country and to kind of take in the culture and the history and the splendor that is Japan and the Olympic experience.
I love that. Really taking advantage of all the opportunities, seeing those things when she can't do. Okay, when do we get to take in Adelaide's performance at the Olympics? When will she be competing?
Yeah, first time. She will be out there on Friday, July the 30th. Her qualifying will be for us in local time, 6 a.m. So set that DVR for 6 a.m. for qualifying. And then the finals, she qualifies for the finals. That would then be the following day, Saturday, July 31st. That will be for us here in America in prime time, 8:10 p.m. morning time in Tokyo, as we'll hopefully see Adelaide Aquila get a medal in Tokyo. But again, that'll be July 30th and July 31st.
You know what I do want to say too about this time change, 13 hours, big time difference. But what made it nice when calculating when these things were going to be happening here is basically it's when night is day and day is night. It's it made it pretty simple for figuring it out.
And we're so pleased. We've got the Olympics on 3 News and NBC. NBC and all their networks and partner networks have really made it nice. Everything's live. So it doesn't matter what time it is. Set the DVR. You won't miss it. You'll be able to watch it. You won't miss anything if you can't be up at 6 a.m. Although I say for Adelaide, be up at 6 a.m. You might see something really special.
Set that DVR and that alarm for Adelaide for sure.
Exactly.
Okay, I am especially excited to talk about this next athlete because I love all the new events that have come to the Olympics this year. So tell us about a competitor we have in one of them.
Well, think about, a couple of years ago, we had the Winter Olympics and Red Gerard and all the nuances of his events and the outdoor, I want to call it, he used to call it the hot dog, but all the extreme events that he had on the winter sports. Nick Bruce will be competing for Team USA in BMX freestyle. They've never had that before at the Olympics. They now do. And, Nick's a guy. He's got Northeast Ohio roots. He's from that kind of the Youngstown area, Hubbard, but he trains in Cleveland. So, he's got that Cleveland in him and that Northeast Ohio spirit in him. And, this is his first Olympics, as you said, new for him. But competition isn't new. And I think that's going to be something that's going to help him. He's been competing on the world stage, in BMX really now about 9 years. So, he's ready. This is basically the only thing in his trophy case he doesn't have. He doesn't have an Olympic medal. Now he can try to get one here in Tokyo.
And what a cool thing it would be to bring home the first gold in an event for the Olympics or any medal at all. But of course, we've got our sights high. We're looking for the gold.
Yeah, and he was saying, look, he's been interested in bike and the bicycle since he was a little kid, since his brother took off the training wheels when he was a youngster, and he's always been fascinated with bicycle riding, and he got to college, and it's one of those things when we're in college, you try to figure out, okay, what's my major going to be, what am I going to do, and at one point Nick thought about being a nurse, and then, well, okay, I got this BMX stuff that's taking time. I guess I can't do that. Well, maybe I'll be a business major. Well, this BMX is taking a lot of time. These competitions and events. Maybe I'll come back and wait. So he decided, okay, I'm going to put college on hold and I'm going to go out and I'm going to really see what I can do with this BMX freestyle. And from a boyhood dream to now turning it into a profession, a career, and now an Olympic athlete.
Incredible. I can't wait to see it. And a little bit about what we can expect to see from the BMX freestyle event. They've got a minute on this course, a minute to do all these just incredible tricks and the ramps and the obstacles. A minute can be a long time. I think we're going to see some cool stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of like diving or gymnastics. You're at the mercy of judges, and so you've got to figure out. He knows the course well. He's had an opportunity to study it and to really kind of look at the overview leading up to the Olympics. So Nick says he's ready for that, but it's trying to figure out, okay, what are these Olympic judges going to want to see? They one thing he's already pointed out, they want to see how well these freestylers use every bit of the course. And so he's really tried to kind of hit the books and figure it out. Okay, what can I do at this part of the course versus this part? So it takes, you've got to be creative, you've got to be smart, and you've got to be talented. And I think Nick's got all three of those things in his repertoire.
All right, when do we get to see Nick attack that course?
The seeding round will be on Friday, July 30th. That will be in prime time at 9:10 p.m. And then the finals will be the following night on Saturday, July 31st. That will also start around 9:10 Eastern time. And I'll tell you, I think he's got an excellent chance to medal in these Olympics. I think he's got the experience, and I think he's got the know-how to really be successful in Tokyo.
We have heard that time and time again. Experience is something that is very valued at these Olympic Games. Of course, this being a new event, nobody has been there before at the Olympics, so everybody's in the same boat in that respect too. So that's got to be nice.
Yeah, totally. And it's once I think you get on the course and you practice and you kind of get the feel of it, and then you kind of get that first heat out of the way. Then it's like, okay, this is like everything else. This is like every other competition I've been, the Dew games and things like that. Okay, I can do this. This is familiar. It's just, I'm not playing for a trophy. I'm competing for a medal.
Right. Okay, this next athlete that we're going to talk about, another first-time Olympian, of course, because, our only veteran we're talking about today, we talked about at the beginning, Carlin, but still very much a part of a legacy with this one. Tell us about this guy.
Yeah, boxing and Cleveland are synonymous, and we say this. We've got a month until we've got the boxing world will be looking at Cleveland at the end of August. When we have the Paul Woodley fight. So Cleveland, I kind of feel like is the epicenter of boxing, and we say all that because Delante Tiger Johnson will be competing in the welterweight category in boxing at the Olympics, and this is now the fourth consecutive Olympian from Cleveland in boxing. You had Raynell Williams, Terrell Gausha, and then Charles Conwell. And by the way, Conwell's going to be on that Paul Woodley card I mentioned professionally at the end of August. So you see what he's been doing now in his 5 years since the Olympics, turning himself into a talented professional. And that's where Tiger Johnson wants to be. You look at it, we have not had a Cleveland gold medalist in boxing. We've had Cleveland boxers in the Olympics. We haven't had a gold medal since 1952, so almost 70 years. You got to go back to when Nate Brooks did it. It would be a great time to end that spell, and Tiger really thinks he's up for it. He's been training hard, and he's again kind of looking at this like from a history standpoint, and he understands he's representing Cleveland, representing Northeast Ohio.
I'm sure that he kind of loves that too, because he really seems to embody the Cleveland mentality. You coming in, being a little bit of an underdog, seeing what you can do that's maybe a little bit unexpected. I know he's talked about saying when people talk about the greats of Cleveland, they say LeBron James, and he wants to be in that conversation. And what a way to get in that conversation, to come home with this gold. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You sit there and you say, okay, if I think about gold medalists from Northeast Ohio, I think of when I was a kid, Butch Reynolds was a track and field star from Akron, got a gold medal. Dominique Moceanu in gymnastics. More recently, Tim Mack and pole vault. I mean, we know the names. These gold medalists, and kind of their stories. And Tiger would be a great story. 22 years old. Cleveland, he's a Cleveland till I die kind of guy. And, he also understands the U.S. hasn't had a medal in welterweight since 1988, his weight class. I mean, United States throughout tradition has been an elite boxing nation in the Olympics. And you figure you got to go back to 88, the last time somebody in that category, which has produced some great boxers professionally from the U.S., but we haven't had a medal since 88. He understands that. And I think he kind of wears that as a badge. That I want to be the guy that breaks all these streaks, these cold streaks. I want to be the guy to break it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is another one of those categories where when this podcast comes out, we're talking about this a couple days in advance. This will come out on Monday. Some of these we'll have already seen, but when can we see Tiger? When can we see him fight?
Yeah. Let's hope by the time we get into week one, he'll have already competed. His first 2 rounds will be on Friday, the 23rd of July and Sunday, the 25th. So by the time everybody's watching and listening to the podcast, Tiger will have advanced. And if that's the case, then on Thursday, July 29th, that will be the quarterfinals. That will be 10 p.m. Or he may be, we may have to wait until 4 a.m. the following morning. So follow us here at 3 News, and we'll let you know exactly when that's going to be. But it's one of those 2 times. And then he would then compete in the semis either on Saturday the 31st or Monday, August 1st. Tuesday, August 3rd will be the final. So if he gets that far and he's boxing for the gold medal, that would be 4 a.m. on Tuesday, August 3rd, local time. So let's hope as we get into week 2, Tiger will be in action and we'll be going for the gold then.
All right. Well, we're hoping for that. Fingers crossed. Hopefully he's still in it and going for that gold by the time we're all talking about this and listening to this together. All right, we got one more athlete for you to tell us about today, and this is a particularly incredible person. What do you got for us?
I love Katie Nageotte. I really do. I think she's got everybody has, if you take nothing away from this conversation with Stephanie and I, everybody has a story, and that's one of the great things about the Olympics. That's one of the things that I think makes the Olympics so compelling, even compared to other sports. Well, number one, because we only have like the Summer Olympics every 4 years, Winter Olympics every 4 years, so we get time between. But every Olympian has a story, of what they had to go through, their own trials and tribulations to get here. And Katie's 30 years old. She missed the Olympics in 2016, placed 5th at the Olympic trials before Rio. So didn't get a chance when she was, arguably in her prime, didn't get a chance to get in, had to deal as there were no Olympics last year. And as she was waiting and training for her opportunity to compete this year, came down with COVID. And, she physically, Stephanie, recovered relatively quickly. Just, like a lot of people didn't, had some sense of smell issues and things like that. But I think the mental part of it, overcoming the respiratory. I mean, she said, not physically I felt fine, but just trying to get back into the training groove and the mentally what I need to do to compete. It was pretty daunting. And, kudos to her. By the time she got to the Olympic trials in Oregon at the end of June, she absolutely dominated, had a career best jump of 16 feet, 2 3/4 inches. That was first at the trials. And now all of a sudden, here we go. And she gives herself a chance to medal in these Olympics. And I love an overcoming story. And, she's in a great frame of mind now. And I think, healthy, on top of her game. And here we are.
Yeah. I mean, having to overcome that, having to delay for the Olympics, having to get over COVID, and then having that in her mind, coming in 5th last time and just kind of barely missing out there. She was coming to play this time. She's not messing out. She's like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and have a career best here, and I'm just going to go ahead and take first at the Olympic trials. No big deal. We're going to do this thing.
Well, it's interesting. All the athletes we talked to about the layoff and having to wait now until this year, it's interesting. A lot of them said, look, I had a chance to go back with my coach or go back with my trainer and try something different, do something, refine a part of my craft that had been lacking. And I think that was one thing Katie had said, that, she really had an opportunity pre her getting COVID in December to look at what she was doing from 2020 to now in the Olympics and kind of refine herself. And obviously it worked. And so, she's in a great position. It's a great story. She's from Olmsted Falls. I mean, I love it. I just think it's, it's an underdog story that, boy, she's finally here at age 30. Can she kind of get over the top and get a medal? I'm not betting against her.
I love it too. 30 is the new 20. You heard it here. Definitely not first, because people have been saying it for a long time, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. All right. When can we see Katie, Dino?
Sunday, August 1st will be qualifying, and it will be one of those things because you have a bunch of jumps. It'll start 9 p.m. Eastern, so already into Monday in Tokyo, and it will continue basically throughout the course of the day. And then the finals will be Thursday, August 5th at 6 a.m. local time. I know she's got a watch party for friends in Olmsted Township. So I'm sure that's going to be fun and energetic and rowdy. And that's what it's all about. If friends and family can't be there, I'm glad they're able to huddle up together somewhere, and you can sit and you watch and you take it all in and have a chance to kind of feel that electricity as if you were in the stadium. You're not there, but you can kind of huddle up with loved ones and feel like you're there.
Mm-hmm. And I hope, of course, with beauty of technology now, we're all connected. I don't expect her to have, a cell phone on the field with her while she's getting ready to do her things, but I'm sure she'll be feeling that energy and feeling those vibes in Tokyo of everybody connected and sending all that positivity her way. Us included, everybody that's listening and watching to this included, all of our 3 News viewers included. Now, this was just 6 of our Northeast Ohio Tide athletes that will be in the Olympics. I know, Dino, you and Tyler and our incredible digital team, you'll be cranking out stories so that we know everything there is to know about the rest of them as well. They can find those, WKYC.com/Olympics. Thanks for being here today, Dino. I really appreciate it. You're our expert. You're our go-to on this stuff.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I hope everybody enjoys the Olympics again. Just remember, it's been a long road to get here for us too, as media people, but as fans and as Americans, it's been a long time to get here. So, allow yourself a few moments to really take it in and enjoy it, and enjoy the stories of these athletes, because they're all special, and what they do to get to their Olympic dreams is special. And I think that'll be fun, and we'll have memories to last a lifetime.
It's going to be a good time, and we will be covering it all for sure. Dino, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
You got it.
I told you, Dino is great. If you're not familiar with Dino, DeNatale, I hope you enjoyed getting introduced to him here, but you probably are, because he's really he's a staple here in Northeast Ohio, and he is the big heart of our web team at 3 News. Now, with no fans at the Olympics this year, we are getting unprecedented access. So that's what brings me to what you need to know in NEO. How you can watch as much Olympics coverage as possible. Now, again, remember, Tokyo, 13 hours ahead. So what's night is day, what's day is night, okay? Right here when we're talking about things locally. But NBC is streaming everything. So we'll be posting those links on our WKYC Twitter page. So if you're not following us yet on our WKYC Twitter account, you need to follow us. The handle is very easy. It's just at WKYC. We'll be tweeting out those links before events start, but also your home for the Olympics here in Northeast Ohio is WKYC.com/Olympics. That is where you're going to find everything you need to do to see things live. And of course, 3 News. Definitely be watching us on 3 News, whether that's on your Roku app, on your Fire TV app, on your WKYC app, on WKYC.com, on your traditional television. If you're doing that, you will catch all of the good Olympics information and everything you need to know, with a particular emphasis here in Cleveland on those local athletes that we talked about. And by the way, we just talked about 6 of them today. There's a total of 12 Northeast Ohioans, and those stories are coming on WKYC.com/Olympics. So that is what you need to know about how to watch and how to learn everything there is to learn about our incredible competitors who are in the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics. And all of them are a good follow. Every single one of them. So yes, we will be posting the information so that you can follow along with those athletes, their Twitter accounts, their Instagram accounts, where you can connect with them. All 6 that we talked about today: Carlin Isles, Hunter Armstrong, Adelaide Aquila, Nick Bruce, Delante Tiger Johnson, and Katie Nageotte. That will all be linked in the show notes here in the podcast on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And also, if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be linked in the YouTube info. Just click that little more info button and it'll all be linked right there. And also linked on WKYC.com/3thingstoknow. That's where you're going to find those Twitter handles for all of those athletes so you can connect with them. Send them a direct tweet or a direct Instagram or whatever it is. Not necessarily in the DMs. You can just at them publicly or, do your thing, whatever. Shoot your shot if you want to slide into the DMs. I guess that'll depend on whose DMs are open, right? But let's show our support for our Northeast Ohio athletes. And that will all be linked, like I said, in all of those places because they are all certainly a good follow. And that is it for this week's 3 Things to Know podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate you guys so much. Listen, if you're enjoying the podcast, I would really love it if you would leave a rating and a review and share it with your friends because we really just want to connect with more people here in Northeast Ohio. And I want to hear from you guys. So feel free, shoot me a DM, at me, whatever, @ Stephanie Haney on Twitter and Instagram. If Facebook is more your speed, you can catch me there too. It's just facebook.com/TheStephanieHaney. And you can also email me, shaney@WKYC.com. I would love to hear from you. And I will see you back next week with more 3 Things to Know.
Thanks for listening to 3 Things to Know with Stephanie Haney from WKYC Studios. Subscribe now to stay in the know.